Hello, these are the exercises for section 1.3 on bias. So there's three main types of bias: the sampling bias, non-response bias, and response bias. A sampling bias is when we choose a sampling method that makes our sample that does not represent the population. A non-response bias is when, after we have done and employed a very rigorous sampling method, we go through and ask those to participate in the survey, and then people refuse to provide information. They don't send back the survey, or they don't want to be selected. Then there's the response bias, when individuals provide an inaccurate information to the survey. This is due to being a loaded question or a poorly worded question, or their fear of reprisal, etc. Okay, so we're going to do these exercises here. So a retail store manager wants to conduct a study regarding the shopping habits of his customers. He selects the first 60 customers who enter his store on a Saturday morning. So when you look at this, you want to ask yourself the questions: do the people who shop on Saturday morning have all the same characteristics of people who shop throughout the week? Could employing a sampling method make the sample more representative of the population? For example, maybe a systematic sampling throughout the week. Every 20th person who goes to the shop, you ask that person about their shopping habits, etc. So because they did not employ a sampling method that makes the sample representative of the population, then this would be a sampling bias. Specifically, this is a convenience sample, and those who were sampled were those who were conveniently accessible. Okay. The next question: a magazine is conducting a study on infidelity in marriage. The editor randomly selects 400 married couples and asks, how many times have you cheated on your spouse? So here, you want to ask yourself the questions: do you think the responses to this question would get honest responses? Do you think the respondents could get punished for their response, either from their spouse if they found out, or potentially have a judgment view on those who are looking at the survey, etc.? There's maybe a fear of reprisal, and then the response here may not be accurate due to the loaded question that they're being asked. So this is a response bias. The next question: to determine the public's opinion of the police department, the police chief obtains a sample of 15 households in her district. She has uniformed police officers go door to door and visits their homes to ask the question, how satisfied are you with the police department? So this is similar to the last problem. Do you think that you would always get honest responses to that question? If someone is uniformed police officer asks you how satisfied you are with police, you may not answer as honestly as you would otherwise. There could be a fear of reprisal if they answer that they were not satisfied with the police if there's a uniformed police officer at your house, right? So there is this potential fear of reprisal because of how the question is being asked. And so the answers that are given may not be accurate opinions of those who are respondents. So this is another response bias. The next question: Cold Stone Creamery is considering opening a new store in Murray, Utah. Before opening the store, the company would like to know the percentage of households that regularly visit an ice cream shop. The researcher obtains a list of households and randomly selects 150 of them. He emails a questionnaire and asks, how often do you go out to ice cream? Of the 150 questionnaires, 4 are returned. Okay, so the ice cream shop researcher took good care to really employ a sampling method. Okay, they got a list of all the different households. They randomly selected 150 of them with presumably a random number generator. However, they did not get many respondents. Okay, so could the people who did respond fundamentally differ from those who did not respond? And so since there were so few who responded, then this is going to be a non-response bias. And here the last question. A candidate for governor is interested in how her constituents feel about a proposed increase to taxes on food. She posts a survey question on her Facebook page, which asks, do you support a small increase in the food tax in order to keep a balanced budget? Or would you prefer to keep the food tax at its current outdated level and have our state become so indebted it may not recover? So when you want to ask yourself the questions, would people who responded be representative of this governor's entire constituent population? Okay. Do all of his constituents follow her Facebook page? Would people who responded, because this is a survey that people just responded if they wanted to, could the people who responded potentially have a stronger opinion than those who did not respond? Okay. This governor did not try to select a representative sample, and so this is a sampling bias. Okay. In fact, it is a voluntary response bias because those who responded to the survey are only those who wanted to respond. Okay. However, this situation has more than one bias, and that is very possible to have. So when you look at this question here, you want to say, okay, is this a loaded question? When you read it, do you know the answer that the governor wants you to say? Okay. So even if there was more of a rigorous sampling method employed, and it wasn't a sampling bias by the voluntary response, this question here, it has words like outdated, it has small, it has the word indebted, all these different things that it's giving you flags to where they want you to actually answer. So because this question is very loaded, then you may not answer in your honest and accurate opinion. So there's also a response bias here.